even if it's buffed by multiple instances of spell damage. We'll have to see. It's not easy to predict, but we're heading in here to our first series of the day. And che0nsu, once again, looks like he's got the goods. Is this like too much fuel? Do you even want Gibberling with this hand?
I think you definitely keep Gibberling. It's never too much fuel against Mage, in my opinion, because you just want to be able to build the next board. You assume that the first one is going to get picked apart, worst case scenario, all the Glowfly's gone, and then you refill with Gibberling. In the okay scenario, you maybe have 4 minions left after that, and a lot of the deck is just buff spells, so you're very likely to hit it. However, the board building tools, just Gibberling and Glowfly, and I guess Thorn Growth to some extent, it's only 4 cards, so I think you keep every one of those that you can get your hands on. And che0nsu also keeping Guess the Way, it makes a lot of sense to keep the card draw going, and he's hit Fungal as well, so this looks premium.
Yeah, I think the turn 1 was a little bit complicated if you didn't draw Fungal, but now it's incredibly simple. You just go Nature Studies, Fungal Fortunes, and then you pop off after hopefully drawing another Innovate or Lightning Bloom in order to play out your Glowfly sooner. But even if you don't get that, as he did, he could have gone in on the Gibberling. So it's looking like a lightning-fast start to which Posesi is going to have to find answers pronto. He got the Incantus Flow, has the AI to keep digging, and Combustion can maybe buy him a little bit of time, but against 7 Glowflies on turn 3, I don't know if it's going to be quite quick enough. Or is it only 6? Yeah. Oh, imagine.
It's the full 7. che0nsu got to have his cake. Sorry, is it 6?
Gibberling is a minion.
Oh, sorry, one of the cards is a Gibberling, so it is.
Yeah.
But it is still plenty. Even though Posesi essentially played 25 Innervates of his own on his deck, he's not going to see all of the cards because it is already looking super scary. che0nsu doesn't have the huge payoff buff cards like Pride's Fury or Innervate Arbor up at this point, but he does have Power of the Wild, and that alone is enough to push 18 damage if Posesi doesn't deal with some of this, and he can, thankfully, with the Combustion. But after that, it's a long time before he gets to Skull, or Mask, I mean.
Looks like he's just tempoing out the Blood Mage Thalnos. Again, you have to think about mana restrictions, because he would obviously like to go Thalnos Cram Session next turn, but clearly thinking that he's going to need that full 4 mana next turn.
Yep. For che0nsu, even though this looks like a bit of a frivolous use of the Gibberling, I think that this is not the shape of board you just want to chuck off Pride's Fury on because it's a little too weak to Devolving Missiles. So even though he can't get the full 7 minions from the Gibberling, this is still very warranted. You can see Lunar Eclipse into Power of the Wild, or potentially just Pounce because that deals with the Thalnos too.
I mean, I'm thinking you go Pounce and Lunar Eclipse. I just want to make sure that I'm buffing all the Gibberlings. Obviously, you like lose the Spell Burst effect on the last one. If I'm che0nsu, I do not care about that. I just want maximum pressure on the board so that next turn Pride's Fury can hopefully just end the game on the spot from where he's sat.
Yeah. Very true. It's not like you're saving Lunar Eclipse for very much against Mage as well. They don't traditionally play a lot of minions. Posesi's hit the second Combustion, but he has no way to corrupt the Ring Toss, which is his kind of way to stay in the game. If we're talking about Hail Marys from the Cram Session, it would have to be... Man, it's only 1 draw, so Ruined Orb into something.
Yeah, I think realistically, it's about trying to draw into Flame Strike for next turn for 6 mana. Devolving Missiles can obviously help buy him some time, but it's, again, a valuable resource. What if he's met with Pride's Fury next turn or Innovate Arbor up? You have to be very conscious of that.
It's starting to look like Posesi can't really afford to play around that, but the Devolving has a lot of utility with Mask of Cthulhu. If you see a buff on the next turn, that Devolving plus Mask could give him a wait for a full clear. So perhaps it is just going to be Combustion and more draw this turn.
Yeah, I don't think the ping does quite enough, even as you said, factoring in Mask of Cthulhu next turn, in which case you want to take as much health off the board as possible. I just want to hit Flame Strike if I'm Posesi.
Okay, it looks like he's going to devolve in this order to try and remove 1 more minion from the board, which is, you know, guaranteed because no matter what the missiles hit, it goes to a 0-cost minion.
Whoa, that second Innovate, even with the Overload. allows for Thorn Growth and then the Pride's Fury, which I think che0nsu absolutely realized is the time to go in. It's pretty vulnerable to Flame Strike, though, I will admit. And so for Posesi, it's the time to find it right now.
Actually, the 4-6 even survives, though, so it's not a perfect Flame Strike, even if he does get it off the top. And he did not. Mask has pretty much no chance of dealing with this, so again, it feels like he is on a draw for Rune Orb into Freeze or Font of Power into Varden. That's thing. So Arcane Intellect.
Varden truly is the third co-caster here in Asia Pacific. They just come up so much. Okay.
More mana to work with. A Pexis Blast, Cram Session. I guess because he can still fit in Cram Session, you just start Primordial. Sometimes you hit Lab Partner and then you draw for even more.
Yeah. You can fit in Solarian, and the double spell damage is actually very relevant here because you can then kill the 4 health and 6 health minions respectively.
You can stay alive on board. There is also a good chance for getting Taunt or Rush off of a Pexis Blast. Oh! Although this is not the right size of Rush, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's close to being good enough, but not quite.
And Posesi, I think, very smartly, not immediately killing off a minion, but just removing the most attack immediately available to che0nsu. This is all the same into Mask of Cthulhu next turn.
Yeah. It's closer than it looks, though, here. Like, Arbor Up is not immediately playable, so that's not a lethal out.
Guess the wait into Prides is also 1 off.
Yeah. Power of the Wild with hero power would get the job done, but that's no longer a possibility off of Guidance because of the mana restrictions. Yeah.
Still here. He'll just take another guess, I suppose.
Do you take both here? Ironbark is 0 next turn.
It's true. Does the overload hurt him very much on 6 mana? Like, he wouldn't be able to do something like Hero Power plus Arbor Up, but maybe it's a bit too niche. Like, you get the 1 attack from the Iron Bark anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going to go for maximum development on the board. I think he ends up trading this 2-1 into the 4-2 to respect Mask of Cthulhu a little bit better.
Yeah, now that double Guidance has come down, he doesn't even have the out of, as you said, Feral Rage off the Discover. Unless it came off exactly Nature Studies, which does seem quite niche.
And so for Posesi, he can do Ruined Orb into I don't know where and then Mask, but if he's starting by killing a minion, not sure if that's necessarily better for Mask, so it looks like he might Ring Toss, but he gets the Spring Water.
Oh, and another one! I think he's doing it.
Oh my gosh, he's still in it.
That's
he's just winning.
He's just winning.
Flame Strike's the clear.
Yeah.
che0nsu has 2 Glow Flies next turn. Okay, 3 most of the time after the draw. But Posesi then has Mask, Ring Toss, all the stuff. Okay. Can he get a buff to go?
Oh,
no.
That is brutal on this turn. You can go, well, I mean, you can play your entire hand, I guess is the best that I can offer here. It's terrible, but it's the one final push you have.
It's all he's got. To be fair, che0nsu has seen the Flame Strike, so this is not a guaranteed Mask clear.
Yeah.
It feels very likely to clear everything but the 3-5 though. Oh, and he also just has Brain Freeze, so I think che0nsu is locked out.
Yeah, I mean, you literally, if you believe that all Mask hits are going to go face, you don't even have to go for that. You could just go viable Brain Freeze ping, and then you're probably just winning.
You fight me.
But obviously this does seem more sensible.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, sure. If he only needed the 4 anyway, then you don't need Mask because the Firebrand's still pretty likely to deal with at least the Spell Burst Gibberling, and he can fit in the Ring Toss this way.
Yeah, I think you do go Brain Freeze, Ring Toss, Ping, right? It seems a little bit better, and it still guarantees you the clear or all but one. Yeah.
Turn it up.
talking outs for che0nsu. I'm struggling to find them. He's played the one guidance.
Yeah, it's just a lock with Counterspell now. I think even if you get the perfect draw, which we knew to be Adorable Infestation for that matter, it's not going to get there. He throws it down, and finally, Gia, we're seeing the potential, the whisperings that Mage could actually get the win in the series against Token Druid, because that felt like a good starting hand for the Druid. He had very early Glowfly, he had buffs to go with it, but it still wasn't quick enough.
It was a very good hand, but the one thing lacking was the immediate damage from Arbor Up, because Pride's Fury, even though it does give you a more durable board, it doesn't do that put Mage on a very, very short clock type of effect that doesn't allow them to go for the card draw turns that you saw Posesi kind of just sneaking in, draw here and there as he was picking apart what little he could of che0nsu's board. And che0nsu did have an out for lethal there off of the guidance. It's just these razor-thin margins that often define the matchup.
Very true. And so heading into the next match, I am curious as to whether we are going to see che0nsu switch. Obviously, we're seeing Posesi go to his tertiary, as you were saying at the start, that includes double Shooting Star and a Flame Strike, pretty much purpose-built to take down this Token Druid, which is a very smart bring. Not many people have teched for the Druid. And we're seeing che0nsu once again go for that secondary deck. I'd be curious to know what kind of testing and what kind of margins he felt like he gained by swapping out one guidance for one Soul of the Forest. But who knows? It could be the difference maker.
I really don't know, indeed. In fact, it's weird for che0nsu in the first place to not have Soul of the Forest in the primary. Perhaps you can make the argument that he is making better use of the specialist format by, you know, having a more streamlined deck in the first one. But the fact that the Token Druid as an archetype already feels like it has this one best 30 card list makes me feel like he might be losing some percent in the long run.
And I just can't even imagine how Posesi is feeling at this point. He won both his matches off stream on Thursday, which means yesterday he just had to sit there watching Mage get absolutely demolished by Druid game after game, quaking in his boots. And today, he's won the first game. He's actually in with a chance of turning things around and getting through to that semi-final, which would be so important for him to try and turn around his luck so far in GM.
Although Posesi, even though he did see Mage get demolished a bunch of times, just the fact that he has brought a tertiary specially for Token Druid makes me think that he's had even more experience in the matchup than maybe some of the others. But oh my gosh, che0nsu starting off with Gibberling with the view to playing Adorable Infestation and immediately hitting the card draw to go after is huge, because you're seeing him go for Gibberling in the first place because he was already saying my hand is so bad that I need to take the risk of just building the board right now, but now he has refill as well.
I mean, this turn just felt weird. Like, first of all, I think he buffed the wrong minion, right, because this is worse into Shooting Star, but I mean, that's minor because Posesi probably isn't just going to play it to kill off 2 minions, but like playing it at all there was really, really early to go in on the Glowfly, and I obviously he got Fungal Fortunes, which turned things around because he couldn't play that on this turn, but I don't know, it was very, very aggressive, and I suppose it's kind of worked off with the pickup of Pride's Fury to get a bit of pressure on the board, but usually you don't see that.
And even this turn of going all in, it turns out it's very good against what Posesi Fond of Power, the Reckless Apprentice, but it kind of means that che0nsu is doing nothing next turn. He doesn't even have mana to go Fungal Fortune. So che0nsu is just trying to be even more aggressive, maybe because he feels unfavored against the double Shooting Star, double Flame Strike list.
That's fair.
It pays off.
That's very fair. I'm looking at this turn, I think probably Imprisoned Phoenix plus Brain Freeze, because even though it doesn't accomplish that much, if you target one of the 2/4 minions rather than the 3/5, you at least set up for a slightly stronger combustion in the next couple turns. But it is very slow.
I am looking at that as well. The problem is, I think you kind of want the combustion for the Phoenix Wake Up turn.
True.
Targeting the 3/5 is just never good because it's a minion on the edge. So I do think I would still land on your play. The alternative is trying to set up for a better Reckless Apprentice. which Brain Freeze on a 2/4 also kind of does.
I was just going for the immediate combustion turn, which obviously only actually clears off one minion immediately. But it does set up for the Reckless Apprentice next turn, which is pretty clever. But it is the perfect draw for che0nsu to play around this gambit from Posesi.
Yep. It was a very clever play from Posesi, recognizing the Phoenix is a little bit too slow. And it goes with his hand, but you just said it. Perfect top deck denies the Reckless Apprentice clear.
Okay, well, we're looking really for any way to just survive the turn here. Ice Barrier, tempting, of course, to gain a bit of extra health.
You have the time!
Yeah.
And I feel like it might be studies.
And just hope to draw Shooting Star next turn.
Yes, something like that.
That sounds reasonable.
Posesi pretty dead though, and this top deck means that he is on 2 HP.
Imagine, yeah, that's right, che0nsu, that's right. Imagine going all in at the start, discovering Fungal Fortunes, but never even having to play it because you just top deck the literal perfect card 3 turns in a row.
And even if Posesi goes Barrier and Brain Freeze, he is dead. He would leave 14 damage on the board. There's not much he can do with this draw without having gotten the Incanter slow prior.
Oh man, he got literally the perfect outcome off of Devolving Missiles as well. It doesn't get any better than that, but still, it was not quite enough. che0nsu, well, I mean, we talk about it on the Majors side, that you have to believe in the heart of the cards, trust your deck to give you the goods. We don't see it quite so often from Token Druid. It's more a deck where I feel like you want to plan rigorously what your next 2 or 3 turns are going to be when you decide to go in or not go in on these early turns. But che0nsu just kind of threw everything against the wall, saw what stuck, and then just happened to get the perfect cards to win him the game.
Couple Gibberlings stuck to possess.
Yeah.
And they continue dealing damage. But you know what? I was talking about how Druid in this match playing a bit more greedy. But that was when we were talking about the primaries, right, of the deck list yesterday. But Posesi's list, as we know now, has double Flame Strike, double Shooting Star, and you can't afford to wait forever as Druid against that, especially if che0nsu is still on the single Soul of the Forest list. So maybe he was just trying to be all in as much as possible, and yeah, paid off. Can't blame him.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I still think I probably would have played it a bit differently. He had Soul of the Forest in hand, and he could have got Gibberling Bloom, Nature Studies, and then the Soul of the Forest to get a board that actually sticks. But what do I know? I would probably not be having won that series and equalized, or won that game, sorry, and equalized the series. But now, Gia, we are seeing a very different aspect of Posesi's deck coming into play because he is running Deck of Lunacy, and with Coin and Refreshing Spring Water, I'm fully on board.
Spicy stuff. Indeed, this is the difference of Posesi's list compared to most of the mages we saw yesterday that faced Token Druid, and I think he should absolutely go for it. To be fair, it's a bit riskier to go Lunacy, Refreshing Spring Water without having played Flow first in this matchup because you do want to hit the many 7-cost board clear cards that are available, and you get to that break point by starting with Incanter's Flow so that your... Sorry, what is that? The 4-cost spells go up to the right amount.
Well, here for Posesi, it was kind of an interesting conundrum because, well, at first I was going to say, are you afraid of just Bloom Arbor up? But with the pickup of Innovate, it gets even worse because it's Gibberling, Innovate, Bloom Arbor up as well. And imagine Deck of Lunacy being fast enough to win you this game. Imagine. Ooh. Okay. Combustion?
It's 23 damage already threatened next turn, so he's actually just threatened lethal, so he cannot go for Coin Lunacy into Spring Water and Hope, so this does look like it has to be a Devolving Combustion turn. Or potentially Combustion then Devolving.
It's pretty good, right? If you go Combustion to kill off all the Gibberlings and then Coin Devolving, you're likely left with a 3 or 4 attack minion and 3 1-drops.
Yeah.
Or in the best case you are.
Posesi did this play last game against a less threatening board, to be fair, but he went for it in that order. Combustion first and then devolving. I can't believe che0nsu's just threatening lethal, even being overloaded. It's just the hero power for the full 24. Wait, he's not going to lunacy, is he? He's dead on board.
Yeah, yeah.
Starting with coin gave me a heart attack.
15, 23, 24, yeah. He does have to make this play.
Oh no! Missed
Yikes.
on one as well. Okay, next turn,
dead.
che0nsu gets a bit more durability on the board as well. The second combustion kind of wrecks him right now, actually.
Yeah. So obviously there's not lethal threatened from che0nsu. So it does not have to be just spring water and then do some other stuff here. It probably is, but just the option is open for Posesi to go Deck of Lunacy and say that just absolutely getting the dream cards is his best chance.
The option was there. It's Flame Waker, but no mana. Okay, it's alright. He has Varden. They always save the day.
That was an insane selection. Varden and the
Yes.
Flame Waker are both huge.
They are both very, very good against Token Druid. The other ones being Ras and Reckless Apprentice as the premium anti-Token Druid minions. Ooh, but is it Varden this turn? I think it might be Firebrand instead. Actually, no, that leaves more damage on board, right?
Right.
Texas makes even more sense.
Oh.
Okay, but that's a
save him.
for che0nsu.
We're in 3+4. Oh no, yeah, he wouldn't have even been a hero power lethal.
So he trades the 1/1 and then goes Solar Pride and then trades. Okay. Small tidbit is that off of Apexis Blast, you're actually around 19% to hit a ton. There's a lot of outcomes that help possess you there. But that's definitely one of the best ones.
So there's not...
There is an option to just straight up Jandis because he's not dead on board. To be a bit safer, it's something like Varden, but the Varden doesn't actually accomplish that much because he can't develop that much aside it. So maybe it's even like Flame Waker and Runed Orb the 4/3, and you're very likely to kill off the 4/1 by that point.
It kind of feels like you're winning more than that. Like if you just go... Okay, so obviously the problem is that if you go Varden and like use your one big freeze and then they do manage to hit card draw into board development, then things get scary. But would you like to give them the out of discovering, you know, as we were saying, like Feral Rage to get there with hero powers over a couple turns?
Probably not. And it does look like Posesi's going to go Varden with this play, although he's hit now a 1-cost spell that can be played with the Firebrand. Again, it's not a full clear. But worth noting, I think it's still going to be Varden after this because he has then mana for Flame Strike, which means that even if there is a big Glowfly turn next turn, he can just sweep it all up.
Wow, okay, well I mean a small portion of the time obviously he's very, very happy with this outcome. And he almost hits it, but Fungal Fortunes off the top is the draw for che0nsu.
It's most of the time, oh my goodness. che0nsu's just back in this. Very reactive cards, though.
They are.
This is really tough. He could go something like Lunar and Thorn Growth and just say, if you have the Flame Strike, I was gonna lose anyway.
Yeah.
It could even be something like Lunar, Thorn Growth, Lightning Bloom, Hero Power to get the full kill. Okay.
He's taking the alternate route and saying, you know what, this already needs to be dealt with in some capacity, so let's dig for a bigger, more impressive board next turn. We're looking for Glowfly Swarm, which he has hit. On its own, it's not especially impressive, but I mean, even having said that, it's going to get him 5 minions with a Thorn Growth as well. That's a full board, straight up.
True. However, when we say this needs to be dealt with from Posesi's perspective, it's pretty easy. He just needs a single shooting star if nothing else is added. che0nsu just immediately fitting in one more damage and playing a bit around shooting star by buffing the health on his treants.
And to be fair, it makes it very awkward. He's saying, you know what, you may have the flame strike, but if you use it here, that's okay. It's really awkwardly sized minions if you don't have that combustion, or as you said, spell power plus shooting star.
I think it's time for the Varden.
Draw
Can
first.
Also fit in either the encounter slow or the draw, but I do think it would be draw in this case. The flow is just not good enough this late in the game. And because he's seen the Soul of the Forest, Flame Strike is very likely to be able to clear even if che0nsu redevelops more things next turn.
Time runs out on me. What to do? What to do?
If he goes about it in the other order, which is Flame Strike, and then che0nsu plays a board, and then he goes Varden, then he doesn't really necessarily have the answer for that board. He would have to draw anyway. So I'm not really seeing the upside for not going Varden first.
Job's done.
Well, either way, the Flame Strike now dealt with. It means that che0nsu was able to make a big enough board. His gambit with the Bloom into Power of the Wild clearly worked out great for him. Even if it means, obviously, a weaker board now, because he's just always threatening that lethal. And most importantly, for the rest of the game, it is that Feral Rage plus Hero Power that could just close the game until Ring Toss into Ice Barrier is found.
Right, if it comes off of Guidance. Wow, Posesi's still going for flow here.
Damn.
I was saying because he hit Primordial Studies into a 2-cost minion, you might as well just Cram Session this turn, but fair play. If you're freezing the board, it's kind of hard to clear the 2/2 Kobold Geomancer, which means now that the 2 draws off of Cram Session are extremely powerful.
And also, by playing out this Kobold Geomancer, like, you know it's going to stick. Double Luna's come down. It's very, very unlikely that it gets cleared. And so you just go all in. I think as che0nsu here, it's your one final push. Unless you think, if this board gets cleared, can I then build another board that will get there? But I think at that point, it's very likely that they have their own minions in play that will just trade against yours for the rest of the game. So I think this has to be the final stand.
I agree. It was just a question of how all in does he want to go. This order, he actually misses on a 4-3, so I was wondering if it was Marsul instead of the Thorngrove Sentries. But, you know, having the taunts is also not to be underestimated because that gives Posesi a harder time to maybe curate combustions and that type of thing. che0nsu is about to get off his chair and fall into the next floor.
He can't even look. Can you blame him? Because this looks to me like it's going to get swept up. The brain freeze. Obviously, the missiles are insane. Even with some decent outcomes on the 1-drops and that mask, it looks too powerful.
The order on this has to be pristine from Posesi. We're probably going to see brain freeze on the 5-4. He's not going to mask this turn?
Wow.
Are you serious?
Oh my god.
Posesi, wow. He is just searching for shooting stars or second flame strike, but that's not within his mana.
Time runs out on me.
He was, okay, I was talking about how you have to go for high roll, but Posesi's rolling even higher. There's a shooting star.
Shooting star? Is that enough though? He can go brain freeze and
I think it is, along with the trade, and then, okay,
trade
1-1 is left.
A 1-1 survives? Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Which means there are outs for che0nsu. They're very limited, but they're there, and Nature Studies could give it.
Fungal Fortunes!
That's good. That's still good. It's not lethal, but it's powerful.
Yes, very powerful. Glowfly?
No!
No, he misses! The one Glowfly! The Marsul. Is the Marsul even better than Hero? Oh yeah, you just innervate Hero Power at this point. Oh, but I think Posesi has finally turned the corner here. But Derek, che0nsu still has one more guidance.
There's still the one guidance, right? That's it. It's the only out. Everything else is like Pride's Fury, Fungal, Guestaway. It's just card draw. He's got one Nature Studies, one guidance, and with no taunt yet, at least for Posesi, and no ice barrier either.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not that unheard of. He's got Fungal Fortunes and Guestaway in the list in the deck still as well. So most of the time, he does hit either card draw or the guidance or Nature Studies.
Actually, in this list from Posesi, he's cut the 2 ring tosses to make room for the extra removal. So it has to be lethal. Can Cenarian Ward get him something?
Grom? Like the one charge minion in the game?
Grom, that's out. These other cards are just not good enough.
Yeah.
Although he can't fit in the hero power if he does that. Because
no, he can.
could be saying, oh, sorry, yeah, he can, because of the discount.
Yeah.
che0nsu is actually just trying to threaten hero power lethal because of the lack of secrets.
Oh, that's pretty big. It can only rush, it can't charge.
But it is tough to remove.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
on a 2-turn clock. He's just dying to hero powers.
So obviously Jandis into Taunt essentially ends the game on the spot, because you could then just go Fireball plus trade to kill off the Turalian.
He's gonna take his draw first. Oh, shooting started a bit too late here.
Solarian, yep, that's another out that you could get if you need a Hail Mary.
It's never dying though at this point.
I mean, you could...
Kills it himself.
Yeah, literally.
Okay. Yeah. Jandis Fireball. Feels like that is the line. Just looking for taunts.
Any taunt. Any taunt. Doesn't have to be a big one.
Inara gets him. I mean, he can
Those are premium.
counter lethal. Can he threaten counter lethal? Because the run attack right now just gives him omega buffs on all of these 1-cost minions. And then he can kill with Solarian Shooting Star instead of Fireball.
Plus the ping. Yeah, okay, that fits. That's fine. I was kind of confused as to what was going on there, but this is good.
Yeah.
Puts more stats on the board as well.
Counter lethal if che0nsu doesn't kill him this turn.
Very close.
At 13 plus Inara's another 4. 6. Oh man, I think he has draws for just straight up counter lethal.
That's Fungal. He's guaranteed to be able to find the guidance.
And he will have mana to potentially go guidance into Feral Rage. It has come down to this, Derek, the bottom of che0nsu's deck.
He missed! He missed.
He can put a taunt in the way because he's kind of dying.
Oh wait, is...
Of the adorable?
If you go...
The adorable on an opposing minion? I don't
So you take both. Yeah, you go adorable on whatever. Is that better? That has to give you more survivability, right? Just putting any amount of taunt in the way.
Yes. Well, it kind of makes Brain Freeze into damage in that sort of sense, but I don't know. What are Posesi's outs for lethal? We gotta check as well.
Well, he's representing 27, so he needs a single Fireball, a single Apexis, both just win the game on the spot.
They're both still in the deck, and his Cram Session costs 1. Oh my lord. I think Posesi's just set up a 1-turn counter lethal.
That's game. That Fireball does it. That's just lethal.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. che0nsu was 1 hero power away.
Oh.
He's just dead to double Fireball.
Oh man, that is so sick. I mean, respect to che0nsu, he gave it his absolute all. I think all of his choices at the end of the game were the correct realization of how he tries to win the game. And even without the Feral Rage, it almost got there just with pure hero powers alone. But again, with the recent changes to Druid, no Swipe, no Starfire, it's a lot harder. No Savage Roar even, just for 2 extra damage to face. It's hard to get that little bit of extra chip damage. And because of that, it means that Posesi is going through to the semi-finals. This is our gargantuan win for him.
It's huge. Posesi, I don't think he expected to go this far with Mage, although, to be fair, it's only because he is running this list that has a bit more teeth against Token Druid. I still can't wrap my head around it, Derek. Just the fact that he had to get both Runtak and Inara to get immediate damage to set up for that lethal, because the Runtak buffed 2 minions immediately that came down on the board, so that was 2 more damage, and the Inara gave him 8 more damage across 2 turns. So he wouldn't have been able to raise che0nsu because of the Cenarian ward if it were not those 2 minions. Although if he had gotten a taunt, that was also pretty much game.
So sick, so sick. And it's interesting to see again the way that Specialist works, because obviously the way he had constructed his deck in a way was very good. It gave him more board clears and allowed him to stay alive until that point. But double ring toss would have been the nuts at any point that game, past like turn 5, just to lock down the board and maybe give him a chance of not dying to hero powers. But it wasn't needed in the end. Posesi does go through to the semi-finals, and we're seeing the first Token Druid fall for the weekend, Gia. It's finally happened. It's possible for Token Druid to lose a series in APAC.
It is, and it's going to happen again next series, but Token Druid is also going to win next series.
Right.
Because we do have a mirror.
Indeed.